Hey everybody, welcome. It is Rose from Rebel Leader Academy, and today I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite topics, which is anger. And anger tends to get a really bad rap because of some of the negative consequences that it tends to push us towards. But there is a real positive reason why we actually have anger and get anger, and it links directly back to a lot of what we've been talking about in the last few lives. So we started off sort of saying that number one, your problems are too small in your life. It's one of the reasons why you kind of feel this general frustration or angst or depression. You don't have a big enough problem to focus on. And then from there, we moved on to thinking about, okay, great. So if my problems are actually too small, then what kind of problems am I supposed to be focusing on? Supposed to be in air quotes. And in that video, we talked about, well, there are actually no truly wrong problems to focus on as long as it's something that you're passionate about. So a lot of you kind of wrote in and were like, all right, that's cool, but how the hell do I even find out what I'm passionate about? It's not like we tend to go around trying to figure this stuff out normally. We all lead very busy lives and something at top of mind. But what is top of mind is anger. Because we go out throughout our day, we read things on Facebook, we have conversations with people, and we get fucking triggered. Triggered. And usually, especially nowadays, this whole kind of anger triggering, not trauma triggering, that's not what I'm talking about, just plain out, somebody says something and you go to a level 10 out the gate in anger. Those are the moments I want you to start paying attention to, because especially as rebels, we have this thing that I like to call an injustice meter. Like, we are incredibly fine-tuned machines for seeing injustice. So whether it's in our workplace, in our homes, in our society, we're like the little beacons that's just like, do, bam, right? Something's going wrong here. Somebody's getting screwed. Somebody's getting fucked. And it's partly because we have these great boundaries around ourselves too. It's why we tend to be very quick to be like, nope, not going to do it. It's because we have this sense of justice, fairness, and then on the flip side, injustice. So every time you get totally triggered by something, it's usually because there is something underneath. Hey, Brandon, glad to see you here. It's usually because there's something underneath there that we're actually finding is immoral or unjust or something that really should be changed. A lot of the times for us, we kind of have this puppy dog, we like to save the underdog syndrome, which is great because they're the ones who need a voice, and we tend to be the ones who are willing to put ourselves out there in the front line to be that voice, if we're passionate enough and if we're solid enough and if we really know what it is that we're going after. So having said that, we walk around with these little injustice meters, or rather big injustice meters, and we get triggered. So if we go into all of that anger, and we really start writing it down, and I did this for myself way back when I was kind of starting on my own journey, and I was like, what pisses me off every time I see it? A great way to do this, you're here on Facebook, you're watching me, well, either on Facebook or another social media platform, and this tends to really get to us. Like, we see posts and crap all the time, and we normally skim past them. It's like whatever, but every once in a while, you come across something that you have to comment on. Like, it's like this driving force inside your body that you are just like, I can't let this go. Like, this has to be said. And if you scroll through all the comments and nobody else is saying this particular, viewpoint or thing, you are like, I gotta say this. Like, I gotta be the voice for this thing. I'll give you an example. Actually, this happened to me yesterday. So, Organic Valley, or I don't know, one of the Nature's Valley, that's what it was. Nature's Valley, they released this thing where they did this promotion. And it was all over, kind of being shared and this and that is this great thing, which was they asked 3 generations of families, at least whatever, let's just pretend it's totally real. They asked 3 generations of families, what did you do? Like, what are some of your favorite memories as a child? How did you play as a child? Yeah, the grandparents, the parents, and the kids were probably like 10-ish in the video. Grandparents and the parents, they sort of agreed, right? They're all like, I played outside, I built forts, I did these things outside, it was all outside and great, and everything was outside. And then, of course, they asked the generation now, and they're like, I play video games. I'm online, I play video games, I'm on my computer. It's all tech, right? Basically, they're showing that no kids are outside nowadays and everybody's too focused on tech. And that was, so you had whatever, hundreds of comments underneath going, I totally agree. It's so sad. What's happening with the kids today? Like just all this. So for me, this is my trigger, right? This was 0 to 10. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about right now? Yeah, sure. Going outside is great and all that. And again, I don't care if you personally agree with me. Just look at how this triggered response happened and how that leads back to a value. So I'm there angry, triggered. I start texting away. You know, I gotta just give this different perspective, because what I teach here in the academy, and one of my core values, 2 of them actually, one of them is that if we can get to the point where we can use tech responsibly, and there's a lot of caveats around that, if we can use it responsibly, we can actually turn this planet around, not just turn the planet around in terms of environmental things and living sustainably, but also turn our own global systems around in terms of economics, how we trade with each other, how we provide food, how we provide shelter, clothing, heat, electricity, the whole thing. So for me, one of my greatest teachings is, look, we can actually take our technologies, use them in the best ways possible if we can get ourselves into that nature, and be in a state of abundance very shortly. So of course, all these people are going, 1, against that, and then 2, I totally believe in the shifting. Like, things change, things shift, humans evolve, planets evolve. So, and we're evolving faster now than ever before when you actually look at all of the measures of kind of our own evolution. So yeah, of course kids today are not going to be doing the same things that their parents were doing and their parents were doing. And this is causing all kinds of challenges and problems on the one hand. And I'm not even going into right now the details of, yeah, there's concern from different levels of like childhood psychological development and social development that we have to address. Again, it's using this tech responsibly. But just to say across the board, yeah, it's so sad that, you know, these kids are not living the way we did as children. That I just had to dispel that notion. I was saying, you know, so first of all, if you go on with the projections and you go with the like doom and gloom projections, our kids, they might not even have breathable air by the time they're like in their 80s and they're older, right? They might actually just have to live indoors and have to be using tech to try to overcome the environmental challenges that they might be facing and their kids will certainly face. So maybe they are perfectly adapting to what actually has to happen in their generation for our species to move on and survive. So anyway, long story short, that post and that video and everybody's comments triggered that in me. 1, the injustice, because maybe the kids are actually doing exactly what they need to do and there's a higher purpose here for that, maybe. And 2, if we can use tech responsibly, that could actually be the best thing to ever happen to our species and to this planet. So I felt compelled, I had to respond, I had to say something. And if I was in a place where I didn't already know what my core values were, then I could have used that moment to evaluate and been like, what the hell am I getting so angry about? Why am I disagreeing with all these people? What's underneath there for me? That I feel this compulsion that I have to say something, I have to be this other perspective, the voice for this other way. So for you, what I would love is if you could actually think about that over the next, let's say, couple days or even a week, all the things that come up that are not just at a level like 1 or 2, they're not like minor annoyances, but they're the things that you read it or you hear it in conversation, you're like, it's just wrong. Like, it's just fundamentally wrong to me. And you come up with that and you say, why is this wrong? Because I promise you, you're going to start seeing themes emerging. Like, it's ridiculous. It's going to be kind of like the same handful of values or of ideas or of things that take you from that, like, I'm calm, and whoa, I got it. I have to say something. Like, I just have to stand up for this. So again, what I want you to get out of this video is that you can make anger your best friend. Like, I'm definitely not one of those people to just like repress anger. Now, I'm not saying hang on to it. Like, I'm not going to feel personally vindictive against all the people that commented against what I think. I'm just going to have to say my piece because that has to be said. I have to be the voice for that, and then let it go. And trust me, that's actually how your like negative anger will start dissipating, is the more you hone in on those values of yours. That's it. You're the mouthpiece for those values. The more you do that, the more you're like, here's situation, triggered, I say something, not mean, I just give this other perspective, and then I can let it go. Because it's kind of like the energy of your mission or your purpose is just like rises up and is like, I gotta be expressed. And then you do it, you express it, and then you let it go. Because if you don't express it, that's where we start having all kinds of issues. So you don't have to express it in anger, but just remember that the anger is the trigger. It is your mechanism for recognizing what's happening to you, recognizing the deeper value, and then hopefully you'll get to a point where you are just like, okay, great. Like, yes, Brandon, just like, yeah, anger is like the fuel for sure. You can use it as your rocket fuel. Like, if you ever get to a point where you are like on track with your mission and you are doing it, and then all of a sudden you have to step out there in a bigger way, which you will, and that's okay. We'll get there. We'll train you for that. But when you have to step out in a much bigger way, you're going to run into, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't know if I can actually be the voice. It's one thing for me to just make a little comment on Facebook and be done. It's another thing for me to start an organization around this cause. It's another thing for me to put myself out there as the voice of this thing, right? So that's a way in the future. Just want you to start noticing, let your anger be your ally. And we will go from there. But I want to answer your question. So to go back, number one, your problems are probably too small for you. Number two, there are actually no wrong problems. We need all the solutions we can get right now. So make sure you know what it is that you are most passionate about solving. And then number three, how do you figure out what you're most passionate about solving? You got to find your values. You got to find those core things. And you find those core things by looking at your anger. All right, guys, I will see you on Friday for a Q&A. So if you have any questions about what we've been talking about over the last couple weeks, please go ahead. You can write to me at rose@rebelleader.com. Oh, sorry, rose@rebelleaderacademy.com. I'll put it in the comments. And ask me your questions around this stuff. Tell me what triggers you. Tell me all kinds of stuff. And we will talk about that on Friday. So until then, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Look at your anger. Look at your anger triggers. Let me know what they are. I would love to hear what you come up with. And I will see you on Friday Q&A. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.